Welcome to the session. Today in this section we are going to discuss about exception handling in Java. Let's have a look at the content. In this presentation we are going to learn about exception handling mechanism, how to create a custom exception and exception propagation. Before exception, let's discuss different types of program errors in Java. There are two types of program errors. One is syntax errors, second is logical errors. Syntax error occurs because of the syntactical mistakes. For example, sometimes we forgot to place the semicolon. So this is one kind of syntax errors. Logical errors, it occurs because of the wrong logic written by the programmer. And from the point of view of when errors are detected, we distinguish them as compile time errors and runtime errors. Compile time errors occurs because of three reasons. One, syntactical mistakes. Second, environment required for executing the statement is not there. Third, because of checked exception that we will discuss later. What is exception? An exception is an event which occurs during the execution of a program that disrupts the normal flow of program's instructions. In simple word, we can say that it's abnormal termination of a program. How does it arise? An exception can arise from different kind of situations such as wrong data entered by user, hardware failure, network connection failure, database server down, etc. Performing actions in response to exception. We generally perform three actions whenever an exception arises. Either we exit the program, handle it where it occurs, or handle it at another place in the program. Now let's discuss about Java exception class hierarchy. As we know that object class sits at the top of the class hierarchy in Java. Throwable is the direct subclass of object class, which is the superclass of all the exception classes. Throwable is divided into exception and error. Exception is further subdivided into checked exception and unchecked exception. Let's discuss checked exception. Those exceptions which are not the subclass of runtime exception, they are called as checked exception. For example, class not found exception, clone not supported exception. These are checked exception. So, when a method throws a checked exception, then the method must either handle the exception or it must specify the exception using throws keyword. Unchecked exception. Those exceptions which are the subclass of runtime exception, they are called as unchecked exception, like arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, index out of bounds exception. These are unchecked exception. Actually, this type of exception occurs because of bad programming or wrong logics written by the programmer. Error. Error also comes under unchecked exception, and programmer is not required to do anything with these. In fact, it is a bad idea to use a try-catch block for errors. Most often, recovery from an error is not possible, and a programmer should be allowed to terminate. Examples of error are stack overflow, linkage error, virtual machine error. These are the examples of error. Exception handling. Let's understand the concept of exception handling. The concept of identifying an exception, catching an exception, assigning that exception to the reference of the corresponding exception class is known as exception handling. In Java, exception handling is managed by using 5 keywords, that is try, catch, finally, throw and throws. Let us understand the functionality of the try and catch block. The functionality of the try block is only to transfer the control along with the identified exception to the catch block by suspending the execution of the try block. And the functionality of the catch block is only to receive the identified exception object from the try block and assign that exception object to the reference of corresponding exception class defined in the catch block. Actually, this exception object, it contains a lot of debugging information that user want whenever he is going to debug his code, such as call stack, at which line number he got the exception, etc. This is the structure of the try and catch block. Let's take a simple example to understand the concept of exception handling with and without try and catch block. This is my exception demo class. I will write some statement which is going to throw an exception. Let's take one variable num1 initialize with value 10, second variable num2 initialize with value 0, and store the result of num1 by num2 into num3. Print the output. I will take one more statement to check that this statement is going to print or not whenever an exception occurs. Now execute the program. See, here we are getting arithmetic exception. The information about that exception we are getting from the default exception handler that is provided by the JVM, and our program abnormally terminated at this line number num3 is equal to num1 by num2, and we didn't handle that exception. Because of that, this high statement, it is not printed. Let's take try and catch block and check what is the difference between these two programs. See here, in the try block we are writing those line of statement which is going to throw an exception, and in catch block we are handling that exception. Execute the program and check what is the difference. See, here our program does not terminated abnormally. This time we handle that exception in the catch block, that's why high statement it is printed. Multiple catch block. Can we use multiple catch block? Yes, we can use multiple catch block with a try block. If more than one exception occurs, then we use multiple catch block. But we should take care of the order. That means when an exception is thrown, each catch statement is inspected in order, and the first one whose type matches that of the exception is executed, and others are bypassed. In detail, I want to say that exception subclass must come before any of their superclasses. A catch statement that uses a superclass will catch exceptions of the type plus any of its subclasses. So the subclass is never reached if it comes after its superclass. I will explain this one with example. See, exception is the superclass of all the exceptions. So if I will take one more catch statement and see, arithmetic exception is the subclass of the exception. So when I will execute this program, it will give me that unreachable catch block for arithmetic exception. It is already handled by the catch block for exception. That's why whenever we are using multiple catch block, then we should take care of the order. So this subclass should come first, then superclass should come. See, this time our program executes fine. Finally block. Finally block always executes when the try block exit. It ensures that it will be executed even if an exception occurs. If an exception is generated, the statements in the finally block are executed after the statements in the appropriate catch block are completed. The main usage of the finally block is to do cleanup job, and it is a good practice to use try catch block with the finally whenever we are using resources. There are some special case with the finally. When you are using finally with the return, finally block overrides the values returned by try block, and finally block executes every time. The only case when it does not execute is when it encounters system.exit. Now I am going to explain all these concepts of finally block with an example. See, as I already explained this example earlier, I have taken one statement that is going to throw arithmetic exception, and I handle that exception in the catch block. I am using finally block. Now execute this program. See, our finally block executed after the catch block, means our exception arises in the try block, that is handled in the catch block, and after that my control will come to finally block. And another example of finally and return statement. See, here I have taken try catch block and finally I have written a return 5 in the try block and return 10 in finally block. When I will execute this program, it will give me 10, not 5, because whatever the statement is written in the finally block is overriding the statement that is written in the try block. Second statement or the second special condition, that is second statement I have written there that there is only one case when finally block is not executed, whenever we are using system.exit. See, here our control didn't come to the finally block because of the system.exit. This is the only case whenever our finally block is not executing. Conditions to declare try, catch and finally. These are the some conditions which we should remember whenever we are declaring try, catch and finally block. First, a try block should have either catch block or finally block, or it can have both blocks. Second, we can't write any code between try, catch, finally block. Third, try, catch blocks can be nested similar to if-else statements. Fourth, we can have only one finally block with a try catch block. As we know that throw and throws are the two keywords which are also used in Java exception handling. Let's see the difference between the throw and throws keyword. Throw is used to throw an exception explicitly. Throws is used to declare an exception. Throw is followed by an instance variable and throws is followed by an exception class names. Throw is used inside method body to invoke an exception and throws is used in method declaration. We cannot throw more than one exception by using throw keyword, but we can declare multiple exception by using throws keyword. This is the syntax for throw and throws. See, I have taken one method public void sample. I am declaring one exception with the throws keyword. Here I can declare multiple exception by using comma, and I will write whatever the statement I have to write inside this. As I already told you about the throw, it is always invoked from a static block or a method or a loop. And by using throw keyword, we can throw only one exception. But by using throws keyword, we can throw more than one exception. How to create custom exception? Custom exception is also known as user-defined exception. So, in order to create custom exception, your user-defined exception class must extend the exception class. And if you want to modify error message of the exception class, that means if you want to modify the system generated message by your own message, then define a constructor with the string parameter and call super. Here super will refers to the super class, as my class is extending this exception class, so exception class is my super class. Now I am going to explain this custom exception with one example. See, this is my user defined exception class, my exception, that is extending exception class. I have taken one method that is toString method. If I want to display my user defined message, then this message is going to be printed in the console whenever this exception arises. This is my simple test program. Here I have taken one variable that is price. Its value is -4. If the value or the value of the price is less than 0, then it is going to throw new my exception. Else it is going to give you the whatever the value of the price is, that one. Execute this program and see what is the result. See, here we are getting the price should not be negative, you are entered. This message we got because we have overridden the toString method. We have overridden the toString method in the exception class. Second thing, if you want to modify the system generated message, or if you want to give the dynamic message, at that time you can go for super. So for that you have to define constructor that is going to take string as a parameter. See, in order to modify the system generated message, or you want to give the, if you want to give the dynamic error messages, then you can go for this super key method. Now price 0, See, here I have taken two conditions. One, if price is less than 0, another is price is less than 10. If I am giving this value as 6, so it is going to throw new my exception, that is price less than 10. See, here we are getting that my exception, that is price less than 10. We are getting this message because we are calling the exception propagation. Let's understand what is exception propagation and actually what happens in exception propagation. Whenever an exception occurs, an exception is first thrown from the top of the stack, and if it is not caught, it drops down the call stack to the previous method. If not caught there, the exception again drops down to the previous method, and so on until they are caught or it reaches the very bottom of the call stack. This is called exception propagation. By default, checked exceptions are not forwarded in calling chain. Now let's take an example to understand the concept of exception propagation. See, here I have taken three methods, M, N and P. Our exception occurs in M method, that is arithmetic exception, but I didn't handle that exception in M and N method, and I handled that exception in P method. I am calling P method from my main method. Now let's see what is the output. We are getting arithmetic exception, and here our exception propagated from M to N and N to P. In P method we handle that exception, that is called exception propagation. But this is not happen, or this is not actually happens for checked exception. For example, if I will use or if I will throw file not found exception, then it will give me compile time error, because as we already know that whenever a method throw an exception that is checked, then the method must either handle the exception or it must specify the exception using throws keyword. This is all about the idea of exception in Java.